Buzz, the first item is that we have indications that your landing site obliques are not in the proper position. If you will check, we think that the intermediate scale landing site oblique is stowed in the CSM Lunar Landmarks book. We think that the large scale landing site oblique is stowed in the back of the LIM Lunar Surface Map book. Over.
It has been exactly 1 calendar year since Space Force 44's only passenger, Geoff Johnston, was launched into the deepest recesses of our galaxy, never to be seen or heard from again. Now, drifting alone in space, unsure of what is happening on his home planet of Earth, and always a little bit sad and a little bit horny, Geoff makes desperate attempts to contact Earth. Will anyone answer his call? Will anyone help him get home?
Hello? Hello, anybody out there? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Who is this?
Hey, hello?
Hey, what's going on? I was in the middle of, at the beginning of starting a DJ set.
A DJ set? Is this Skrillex? Is this
This is
Hello?
not Skrillex. This is
Is this
Ben.
Skrillex? It's Ben? Ben Queller?
Who
Is this
is
Ben
this?
Queller?
I have a question before we get into this. Who the fuck is this, and how did you get into my Zoom?
My name's Geoff, and I just learned how to speak today, and I'm.
Oh, Geoff, my friend Geoff.
Yeah, no further explanation is
The one
needed.
that I've been trying to convince to learn how to speak.
How's it?
Well, it's a surprise to see you.
Ben, what are the odds? I've been trapped in space for I don't even know how long, and I've just been randomly sending out distress signals, trying to get in touch with somebody on Earth to help me figure out maybe what my mission is, or what I'm doing here on this spacecraft. It's but there's signage all over the craft that tells me that it's Space Force 44 is the name of the ship, but I have no idea what I'm doing up here or why I was sent to space. I have no background in aerodynamics or.
No, I feel like this always happens. How many times has this happened to you?
I don't know for sure, but it feels like maybe 6.
6 times. How long have you been up there this time? Do you know?
I don't know. I have no sort of concept of time. Like a much smarter person could probably have figured it out based on, our relationship to different planets and things. But I don't know any of that stuff. I study journalism.
Say ah.
Ah.
I think about a year. That's what it seems like to me.
How'd you figure that out?
Oh, just by looking into your mouth.
Oh, you can see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Where are you?
I'm on the internet.
Oh, am I talking to you on the internet? Is that how I got a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm on this Zoom app, and I was getting ready to.
Is it that show from that old children's television network show?
Oh no, not quite.
Am I getting my reference
Zoom.
wrong?
I heard that Zoom did make an announcement recently, though, that they're going to come back, and they announced it on Zoom.
Whoa, that must have been really confusing.
It was probably the best day of my life.
Or was it like corporate synergy? Were they like intentionally doing it on Zoom?
I think so. But yeah, it was the greatest day of my life, at least lately. Like the greatest day I've had since February.
Those are some really weird and specific standards of what brings you joy. What's wrong? What's going on?
Well, I don't know where to begin, but let's just say that you would probably better wherever you are.
Well, where are you?
I'm in my apartment where I have been since March, the beginning of March.
What, did you break your leg or stub your toe or what? Why are you in your
I have
apartment?
not broken anything, though not from a lack of trying.
What's going on? I'm extremely curious as to your situation and why you would not have left your apartment in several weeks. Your apartment in Guam? Where are you again?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York, and
Okay.
the thing that's happening right now is there's a global pandemic that is very deadly, and it's very easy to catch it. And America's hotspot is New York City, and New York's hotspot is Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's hotspot is Crown Heights, where I live.
So you're in like the hottest spot.
Yeah, I'm like in a triple hotspot. So the rules are, do not go outside unless what they are allowing is solitary walks.
Let's back up a little bit. I mean, this is a lot for me to process. A pandemic, so that's like a panda who's a medical professional. Like my kid has an app on his iPad. It's Dr. Panda Town. Is this like that somehow? Like, are there a bunch of Chinese bears walking around performing surgery?
Maybe you were up there longer than a year. Let me look into your mouth again. No, it's a year. I don't understand why you don't know what a pandemic is. No, it has nothing to do with pandas.
Is it okay? Is it has Mork and Mindy actress Pam Dauber taken over the?
Well, no, it has nothing to do with Pam Dauber. It's pandemic. Pandemic.
Okay. Pandemic. Okay. Let's pretend I don't know what a pandemic is.
We're not pretending you don't know what a pandemic is.
Okay, so all right. So this Pam Dauberemic is all over.
Pandemic is an epidemic of disease that has spread across a large region, for instance, multiple continents or worldwide, affecting a substantial number of people.
That's just off the top of your head, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So like people are sick? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Oh yeah, people are sick and dying. It's a respiratory disease. This one is called COVID-19 or coronavirus, and I'm afraid to even tell you that it's coronavirus for the number of misunderstandings that are about to happen. I mean, if you thought Pandemic was the actress on Mork and Mindy, I'm afraid what you're going to make a coronavirus.
So, I mean, you said it's respiratory, but if it involves the corneas, I'm not making the connection.
No, it's not cornea virus.
Okay.
I hesitate to even dwell on this too much, but it's coronavirus. And now let's just move on.
Okay, so it's just, here's what immediately jumps to mind. Here's what I'm thinking. From what you've explained, it just sounds like
It's not a beer. It has nothing to do with the Corona beer.
Oh, okay. Well, the other thing I thought, almost in the same thought in tandem, is this pandemic, this respiratory disease. It sounds just like a flu, right? It's just like the flu. People are getting the flu, and it's going to go away, right? Like it's just flu season.
Flu-like symptoms, but I'm not totally sure on this. But I think a virus is different than a flu.
I'm going to say you're right. Just so people are deathly ill, and that's why you can't go outside because they are dying. And then I get it. The virus, it's like a zombie virus. They come back to life. They're going to eat your brains. And so
there is a section of the right that is becoming very zombie-like in their protests, because there's, certain states have it worse than others, but there's been, pretty much a nationwide shelter-in-place order in which people are just supposed to stay in their homes unless they, absolutely have to go get groceries or something. So the right is freaking out, and they're protesting the virus. They're going to the Capitol and they're protesting for some reason that they should be allowed to go out.
I mean,
And I don't know
why not?
how susceptible COVID-19 is to protests, but I don't think it's going to affect it. In fact, because people are supposed to avoid large groups because of how contagious it is, this might make this last even longer.
I am so confused.
Me too.
So everybody's sick.
Not everyone's sick, but a lot of people are sick because it gets in your lungs and it forms these crystals or something, and it makes it very difficult to breathe, and a lot of people have to go on respirators to get through it. But not everyone can get into a hospital because of how overcrowded they are.
I gotta say, I mean, this conversation is
Funny? Yeah, I know. It's a very funny, ripe with humor and frivolity. I hope we can get this to an audience that would want to listen to it. Like, if they're sheltered in place and they want somebody to explain to them what's happening to them in an entertaining way.
So I think I'm starting to understand there's a devastating, highly contagious disease that is killing people. And it sounds like where you are in New York, and specifically in your neighborhood in Brooklyn, it's probably the worst place to be in America right now.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much impossible to get groceries. Like I'm sequestered here with my girlfriend, and we have not been to a grocery store since February. And so at the beginning, we were able to use delivery apps like Instacart and Fresh Direct to have groceries delivered, but now all those are completely booked. And so whenever you click on a delivery time, it says no delivery times available, and you just have to keep clicking on it over and over and over until suddenly there's a delivery time available, which the last time we did it, the delivery time, we checked every day for like 2 weeks, and then eventually we got one that was going to deliver to us in 4 or 5 days, but then it came 3 days late. So it's been challenging to get food.
So at what point do you entertain the possibility of cannibalism?
Well, Michaela and I are both vegetarians, so I think we're a long way from that. Like, we'll probably go graze in the lawn before we eat each other.
That's good. I mean, silver lining. You're not going to eat your girlfriend.
Right. Me and my partner will remain uneaten as long as we're just with each other.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that part of it.
A lot of people are. It's on a Now This video, and CNN picked it up, and Huffington Post are all very excited about how Ben and Michaela are not going to be consuming each other. That if all they do is just keep trying and keep clicking on delivery times, eventually one will pop up.
Well, I mean, it's shocking what you're telling me, Ben, but it does sort of make sense, because
it makes sense.
Well, let me tell you why. I'm on the spaceship, hurtling around our galaxy. No idea where I am or why I'm even here. But I still have my iPhone, and I can still use it to look on the social media channels and the Facebook.
In this circumstances, it's surprising that anything makes sense to you.
It's you ever have those moments where you stop and you're like, what if this is all a dream? What if I'm not real? What if I'm just a character in the dream of a dog?
No, I've never thought that.
Oh, okay. So my social media, as I was trying to say, on my phone, I can still see that, but for some reason, a lot of stuff is blocked out, as if by some big brother third party that's trying to prevent me from seeing things that are happening on my home planet. But every so often, something slips through, and I'll see like a sponsored ad of like these slow pans of like empty shopping malls and sports arenas, and then there'll be like stock footage of shopkeepers, like, you know, turning the "we're open, we're closed" sign, and then a voiceover starts speaking about now more than ever, you need a low-fat yogurt that won't let you down in the flavor department like so many others. And then there's like slow piano music, and it was so confusing. So many little videos were like this, identical, like whether they were selling socks or life insurance or, you know, dog vasectomies or whatever it was. You know how they're selling dog vasectomies all the time online?
Yeah.
That ends up in your feed, and it's just like, how does it know I was on Amazon looking up at-home dog vasectomies?
I like how trendy dog vasectomy ads are. How like whatever's happening in pop culture, they'll just tie it in somehow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, since the beginning of time, people have needed to perform vasectomies on their dogs at home, and now more than ever.
Now more than ever.
More than ever. So I've been seeing this stuff and just thinking it's like, you know, a trend in marketing that people have kind of hopped on. Like, you know, ukulele music was really big for a while. And then I was like, oh, well, they're doing this thing where there's nobody around and shops are turning their close signs on, and there's piano music, and everything is now more than ever. But it's because of this pandemic you're telling me about.
That's right. It's because of this pandemic.
Well, that's crazy. And some of the other stuff I've seen now makes sense. Like, I'll see people posting these weird sort of existential questions, and so I'll post some of them to you now that we're talking about it. And I assume that this means, like, since you have been inside because of the pandemic, you said?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
The Pam Dauber.
Pam Dauber. So what's something you've learned about yourself since you've been at home avoiding the Panda Medics?
Well, I'm surprised to learn that I maybe don't like really going out that much. Like, there's a big part of New York that is nightlife and hanging out in bars and things, and I'm very surprised to have learned that it's sort of a relief to not have to do that, like to just be able to sit at home and not feel any sort of pressure that, like, I should be going out. It's Friday. I shouldn't be sitting here. I should be accepting one of these invites and going out somewhere. And now it's like, oh, that's off. We don't have to do any of that. That's great. All right. I guess I'll just start at the beginning and watch Better Call Saul.
I find this very interesting, Ben, because as you know, but I'm going to state it as if you don't know, we were roommates for a time, some 20 years ago, and you loved going out. And then, you know, I would see when you moved to New York, and I would see you going to the concerts and taking the pictures and having the fun. And so I thought you would be, if anything, dying from not socializing, but it sounds like quite the opposite.
Yeah, it turns out that, like, I kind of like hanging out at the house and not have any guilt about feeling like just a couch potato. And so I'm able to work on any number of personal projects or watch 7 hours of TV.
I remember that you used to go out all the time, specifically Lizard Lounge. You had these leather pants, and you would just, you did the personal stuff, like you stayed home and you worked on personal projects and you made movies and you recorded music. You didn't watch a lot of TV, if I remember. You weren't big into, I mean, you had historically, but in our 20s and 30s.
I was a big TV watcher, and so that stage of my life has begun now.
Finally.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, do you still have the leather pants? Is what I'm getting to. Is do you still have the leather pants?
Well, those were vinyl pants. They weren't leather.
Oh, you were a vegetarian then too. Yeah. So that makes sense.
And so they were vinyl pants, but I've far surpassed that waist size.
That explains why they looked so good on you. They were vinyl.
They were vinyl and they were shiny, and I was a size 28 waist back then, and now I'm probably a 33. So I'm too much of a big fatso to wear vinyl pants anymore. And you might argue that I'm too old as well.
One might argue. Do you think there's anybody
arguing with me about that? Who is this hypothetical person that's arguing with me about vinyl pants that I don't even want to wear? Like, there's no reason to get into an argument about it, especially pointing out how old I am. That's not necessary in this time, in this day and age, when we've got fucking pandemics and Panda Medics running around. Like, you're gonna attack me on my age and vinyl pants? Come on.
It's a tale as old as time.
It is? What, this argument is a tale as old as time? Is that what they're singing in that Disney song? Tale as old as time. Ben has vinyl pants. He wears a 33 waist, or so he thinks. It depends on the brand. But if he wears those vinyl pants, he's too damn old.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
He's too damn old for vinyl pants. I'm arguing, I don't know why. This is important to me.
So that sounds terrible, man. Okay. So how are you guys doing as a couple? Like, are you appreciating each other more, or are you like wanting to throttle each other? Like, if I see their face.
No, not really. We've been together for a while, and we've vacationed together on these like extended vacations. So we went to Thailand for 2 months, and we're with each other, you know, round the clock, 24 hours a day. And then another year we went to Japan and Vietnam for 2 months. And so we're used to spending a lot of time together and are able to sort of manage like getting alone time. We're pretty good at that. So that hasn't been a problem. It doesn't seem that, as far as that goes, it doesn't really seem that different than it normally would be.
Well, that's good. I mean, it sounds like, all things considered, you're doing well. How what's been going on with your other endeavors? Are you still able to do the Doctor Zoddity radio show, which is one of my favorite, you know, expressions of appreciating our American musical culture, you know, ever? What's going on with that?
Now more than ever, the Doctor Zoddity Show is thriving because there's time. There's time to work on it. So a lot of times it would just sort of be like something that we would do after work on a Tuesday or something, like run home, throw a set list together, come up with 2 bits, and then just record it. And then the next day, because then it would be late at night, and then the next day I would do sort of any editing that might have to be done, like there was a mistake or something like that, and then make the cover art. And so that would usually take place over 2 days, sometimes even 3 days. But now there's plenty of time, so we can spend all day prepping an episode and coming up with bits and recording it and putting it out. So it ends up taking all day, but we have a day to do it now. So
something you said struck me. You edit out the mistakes?
Occasionally. Sometimes if it's not too bad of a mistake, we'll just leave it in. But occasionally, if there is like a record maybe that got queued up wrong, and it or sometimes, you know, I'm working off a DJ controller, so sometimes if I'm distracted and busy like sort of hanging out during the show, I might have the same song queued up on 2 decks, and then so when one song ends and then I play the next one, it'll be the same song. I think that's only happened one time, but that has happened, and then I have to edit that out because then I just immediately stop the song and play the right song.
But, you know, theoretically, could one do the same thing if they were doing like a podcast with their old roommate, and like they do a comedy bit that doesn't work at all and is really not thought out, or very pedestrian, or very
racist?
racist? Like, would you? I mean, is that something I don't know I could do?
That is definitely something that you could do, but that would sort of be up to your own taste and your own standards.
What are those?
Oh my God.
So, explain to me like I'm not me. What is the Doctor Zoddity Show? Let's just say I don't have knowledge of what you just talked about, and I want to know more about it and find out how I can listen to this thing you just talked about.
Okay, the Doctor Zoddity Show is this radio show that we play a lot of like 50s and 60s garage, rockabilly, R&B, exotica. The weird version, or the weird realm of that era is ripe with bizarre music, and it started because I had just sort of like in putting together like a Halloween playlist, was finding all these like weird Halloween novelty songs from the 50s and 60s. So the first one that I responded to was this song called The Mummy, which is really great because there's like this like, you know, 50s rock, sax driven like bop stuff. And then there's this like cartoony voice talking about he's a mummy, and he says, watch what happens when I walk up to people. And then there's this weird sound effect of him walking, which sounds like a squeaky sound. So I don't picture mummies being squeaky, but for some reason in the song, they had to Foley in a sound effect of a mummy walking, and it's ear, 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 ear. And then he says, I'm a mummy. And then you hear a person scream and like run away. And I don't know what it is about that song. I just love it. It's just so bizarre. And I like that the mummy is scaring people because he walks up to people with his little squeaky walk and says that he's a mummy, which you can tell if someone's a mummy. Like it wouldn't necessitate someone telling you. Like if a mummy walked up to you, you would know it instantly. So so my advice to the mummy would be like, well, if people can't tell, like just stop telling people, and then they won't run away screaming. But anyway.
So do you think that, you know, with everything that's going on, somebody or maybe even multiple bands will record pandemic-themed garage rock songs, and they'll be like...
Probably.
And there's, like, you know, there's the spoken part of the song where it goes, I'm a pandemic, and then it makes squeaky foot noises.
When I walk up to people, ear, 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 I'm a pandemic.
I mean, I know that they probably have to do that because it's a song and there's no, you know, real visual aspect to it. So the monster has to announce themselves. But yeah, to your previous point, if you have to tell people that you're a mummy or a werewolf or a creature from the Black Lagoon, they don't know that just from you being there. You might want to go back to monster school.
Yeah. Like if you were Pam Dauber, you might have to tell people that.
I'm Pam Dauber.
Yeah.
You may remember me as Mindy from Mork and Mindy.
Watch what happens when I walk up to people. I'm Pam Dauber. It was interesting though, in like once I started the show, like I had a little bit of collection of these songs that I liked, and then doing the show like caused me to have to even do a deeper dive into these and find these records online and find them on Spotify and find them on YouTube and just keep finding this stuff. And I sort of learned that in the like 50s and 60s, like every band recorded a novelty song. Like that was something that you did.
So like when hair metal bands would have to put out a ballad in the late 80s, you know, like you need to have a ballad on each side. You know, you need your 18 in Life and you need your I Remember You or This Is Not Gonna Chart. But in the 50s and 60s, it was monster dance songs.
Yeah, just weird novelty songs. Like some of them are not monsters. Some of them, you know, are just like about like crime or street fights or UFOs or Martians or muggings or... Also, it seems like something that people did a lot back then too was like these instrumental songs that would have someone say a word in it, like during the break, the way tequila goes, where they just say tequila. There's so many of these songs where it's instrumental, and then there'll be a break where they just say one word, like switchblade. Or there's one I have where it's this like really radio announcer sounding voice that just goes, pimples and braces.
What?
Yeah.
Well, it's clear for teenagers, right? Like that's the...
Yeah, I guess so. But it was interesting, though, that for some reason in the 50s and 60s that every band, did this, and then that sort of went away. Like, I guess in the 70s and definitely by the 80s, like you don't have bands recording, weird novelty songs unless they're a novelty band.
So was there ever any crossover between those sort of those trends? Did you have any songs that were like, it was about a street fight that involved monsters, like the werewolf is gonna pull out a switchblade and stick the Dracula?
Probably. I have to imagine that there is that crossover at some point. There's one that's Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, and there's a fourth one in there. But it's a song though about the guy's girlfriend who just loves horror movies, and he's singing that he has to be one of those, that he has to be Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, or something else to like make his girlfriend love him. So it's not really about those characters per se, but they are mentioned several times throughout the song.
They're used as like stand-ins for the listener, like they're like metaphors of teenage angst and romance.
I don't think so. I think he's really talking about Dracula, Wolfman, that he wants to be those guys so that his girlfriend will pay attention to him.
It sounds like the beginnings of the incel movement, frankly.
Watch what happens when I walk up to people. I'm an incel.
I'm a nice guy. M'lady. Watch what happens when I tip my fedora.
Yeah, you would have to tell people you're a nice guy. That one you couldn't tell just by seeing someone.
Yeah.
If someone told you that they were a nice guy, would you believe them?
I mean, yeah, that's one of those things where when somebody says it, they're obviously the opposite. Like, if you have to say you're a nice guy, you're clearly a complete fucking bastard.
Right.
And so I'd imagine that, like, given the time period and the subject matter of these monsters, it's probably a reflection of what was cool in pop culture, like the monster movies. So were there like, is there sort of a parallel genre of like sci-fi, garage rock and rockabilly, like the space worm mash?
Yeah,
bash.
For some reason, rockabilly as a genre they have a lot of songs about UFOs and aliens and Martians and things. For some reason, that genre, rockabilly, goes towards that stuff, whereas the garage, 60s garage, and even R&B and soul, they're going more towards Wolfman and zombies and stuff. So it's weird that the genres sort of picked their topics.
Yeah, and what about surf rock? Where does that land?
Surf rock is both. Surf rock, you'll hear, songs called, like there's a whole band called the Deadly Ones, which I think is a reference to another band called the Lively Ones. The Deadly Ones is this like monster-oriented surf rock band. And so I'm trying to think of song titles that they have. Like there's a Creature in the Surfer's Lagoon, which it just opens with someone saying that, like you hear like a wave sound and someone goes, "There's a creature in the Surfer's Lagoon," and then the surf song starts. And then there's one that's called Monster Surfing Time, which just has like, some gnarly surf going through it, surf guitar, and then growling sound effects here and there. But then there's also surf rock that is space oriented and will have like just a lot of electronic sounds through it and like spaceship noises and little laser sounds. So surf is right in the middle. They get access to both topics.
Well, and I would even put forward that the genre not only stuck around, or at least was revived in recent memory. It's actually pretty cool, because in talking about this, it's rang some bells. You've got Man or Astro Man,
right?
Who's very much surf rock and the sci-fi vibe, and then Frank Black and some of those older Pixie songs about Roswell and alien encounters and things like that. And he's very much I don't know if it's him or Santiago that's heavily got the surf rock twang in there in a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
So I would argue that the music that you are now trading in, it's the birth of some of the best rock that we've seen in the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years.
Yes.
I mean, we've been talking about this at length, Ben, and I know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. You wouldn't happen to have anything laying around you could play for, if somebody ever listens to this this recording I'm making. Do you have something we can tickle the eardrums with?
Let me just show you. This is the Deadly Ones, one I was just talking about.
There's a creature in the surfer's lagoon.
That's that one, and then here's like Monster Surfing Time, which I think probably says it's Monster Surfing Time at the beginning.
It's Monster Surfing Time.
Let me give you a sample of The Mummy, because it is.
Yeah, I gotta hear The Mummy.
This is the best song. Still one of my favorites.
I'm a mummy. I scare people. Watch what happens when I walk up to somebody. I'm a mummy. I was born 1,959 years ago. My daddy was a mummy too. Watch what happens when I walk up to somebody. I'm a mummy.
Why does the mummy's walking sound?
I thought it was just a break. This is like a spoken word piece. Like,
yeah.
Where he's just like reading the fucking Wikipedia page on mummies.
Exactly.
Over a Dick Dale track.
Right.
And he's got Michael Winslow in the booth doing the
Yeah, I don't even know what is making that sound. And
what was the second thing he says? He says, "I'm a mummy. I'm a mummy," and then I like to scare people. Like you're over explaining it, mummy.
Right.
Just do your thing. That's excellent. Do you have any? Could you play us maybe a little bit of you just sort of introing the show, or do you have any Doctor Zoddity we can hear?
Yeah, I can just pull up the Mixcloud and play it straight from there.
Oh, I can just do something you're perfectly capable of doing, Geoff. But no, let me do that, please. Let me do all the fucking heavy lifting.
I can at least probably find it really quickly. So
this is true.
Here we go. Here is the Doctor Zoddity Mixcloud page, and our last show was put up. What does it say? 2 days ago. The title of the episode is "Don't Go Outside."
It's the Doctor Zoddity Show.
Oh, from the basement of a castle in Brooklyn, rocks the most from ghost to ghost. Here he is, Doctor Zoddity.
It's the Doctor Zoddity Show. We're still in this castle in Brooklyn, and we're still quarantined here. Let's get this show started right now. This is Garage Classic, The Wailers, Out of Our Tree.
Okay, so... All right, we don't need to... Look, hey. Leave the people wanting more. Turn that off. You're not hijacking this transmission. This is an SOS. I'm actually trying to get some help here, but I'll listen to that on my own time, mister. But so you're doing the voice of that announcer, that kind of that Igor sounding guy.
Yeah, sort of like Peter Lorre, cartoon Peter Lorre voice.
Yeah, who's that?
Who's Peter Lorre?
No, who's the character on the show, Ding Dong?
Oh, that character's name is Mr. Nibley. Mr.
Nibley, and then you're obviously Doctor Zoddity.
Yes.
Coming in there.
We do a lot of different voices on there. Michaela plays a vampire type named Gothka. She also plays a mummy that is from New Orleans and has an offensive Southern accent. She also plays a gothy teenager named Ravenessa. She plays a wolf pup named Beowulf. And a zombie named Monica.
It sounds like Michaela's doing a lot of the character work there.
Yeah, well, I have characters too. I do Frankenstein, Mr. Nibley, a Dracula type named Count 2-3.
Well, that's fantastic, Ben. And how can people hear the Doctor Zoddity Show if they're so inclined?
They can just search Instagram, or they can go on Mixcloud and search Doctor Zoddity. Doctor's spelled out. If you search Dr. Zoddity, you'll find our old show on the radio station.
It's a podiatrist in the White Plains named
actual Doctor Zoddity. Yeah,
Dr. Eugene Zoddity. So when's the next episode going to be up?
I try to put them out on Wednesdays, so I don't know what today is.
All right, you're a master of promotion, you know that? Well, Ben, man, it's really been great catching up with you, and
I feel like you've learned a lot.
I mean, you know what I always say, like you never stop learning, especially when you don't retain information.
Yes, that's one of the great things about not retaining information is you keep learning. There's always something new to learn.
Yeah. What?
You learn something new every day.
What's that?
You probably learn something new every day.
What's a day?
Oh no.
But so while I've got you, I need you to help me out. I need to get home. So can you call like Space Force? I don't have their phone number.
Go, so.
No, but just call like a cop or a fireman or a Coast Guard.
You gotta get going.
Where are you going?
Hey, bye.
Wait, hey, Ben, where? Ben, help me. Ben!
I'm not here anymore. I left.
Okay, my friend Ben is gone, and I was unable to secure passage home to Earth. So I guess I'll keep trying to contact people and maybe figure this out. That's terrible news about the deadly virus. I guess I'm maybe okay up here for now. But if you'd like to hear more of Ben doing his Doctor Zoddity Show, he broadcasts live from a castle in Brooklyn every so often when he feels like it. You can go to Mixcloud and search Doctor Zoddity, DoctorZoddity, Doctor Zoddity. And the best way to connect with him on social is Instagrams. It's really a really great show. If you like garage surf, rockabilly, UK freak beat, Vegas slow grind, monster rock, zombie surf, werewolf R&B, you will love the Doctor Zoddity Show. Do check it out, please. Until next time, transmitting distress calls to Earth from Space Force 44, my name is Geoff. I am the passenger, saying thank you for listening. Now, more than ever.